So I don't know what you think about when you think about things from the 80s, but what I think about is the stores, like all those stores that have come and gone. Back in the 80s, we had a place called Corvettes and Service Merchandise, which I believe you used to work at. And
I used to work.
Sorry?
I used to work at Consumers. There were two of them. There was Service Merchandise. No, did I work? I don't even know where the hell I worked.
Yeah, what was the deal with Consumers? I remember that name, but I don't remember the store.
It was basically like a B grade Service Merchandise.
You couldn't get much lower than Service Merchandise, right? It was like, here, pick your stuff out in the catalog. We're going to have a little showroom here, and everything underneath each item, you're going to have a number. You come to us with a number.
Yeah,
wait like a half an hour, and then you get your stuff.
When you explain it that way, it really was a stupid concept.
Yeah, man. It's like basically they were able to get rid of all their salesperson. It was like a lack of service merchandise is really what it should have been called now. Remember the Wiz?
Yes, I remember the Wiz. There was...
Did you buy any CDs?
I mean, this is like... Totally local. There was Crazy Eddie.
Crazy Eddie wanted, he went as in audit class. He is the classic example of
what not to do.
How the auditors get scammed. The guy was like moving inventory. The auditors would come to one warehouse. They'd check off that the inventory was there, and then at night he would have the same inventory moved to a second warehouse. When they got there in the morning, they would check that off too. So he was quite the trickster. That guy, Crazy Eddie. And people would always think the guy in the adverts was Crazy Eddie.
Yeah.
That wasn't him, right?
Yeah, no, that was, I forgot what his name was. There was also, just malls in general.
Malls,
I mean, it's
yes.
like, we used to go to like I'll just go hang out at the mall, or even like when dating, it would be like, oh, I just go window shopping, hang out.
Yeah, I remember.
Now here we are like 40 years later, and it's like, the wife's like, I have to go to the mall. It's like, oh, shit.
Well, malls have been dying, right? So,
oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to go anywhere in the day of Amazon, but it was a real social kind of experience back in the day. You'd go there and hang out with your friends, your girlfriend, and you'd kind of like kick around, go to McCrory's, get a Slurpee, go to Spencer's. You remember Spencer's? All the black light posters back in the day. And
yep, I always wanted one of the, they had those rugs, looked like big footprint rugs. I always wanted one.
Right, exactly.
I always wanted like the electric green big foot rug.
Yeah, that was pretty cool stuff. And the gag gives.
So anyway.
Anywho. So yeah, the mall, right? So what else? There was plenty of, one of the things I really miss was, the simplicity of video games, right? I mean, hey, I see what my kids are playing now, and it's like, you're practically there, right? You put on the virtual reality headset and like you're climbing up the mountain every day.
Well, you're ahead of me on that one. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like, remember Atari getting up on, Christmas morning, running downstairs, seeing Atari, and like you played this game for all day until your hands had blisters. And it was basically a bunch of like two-dimensional lines, right? They had this game called Adventure, and it was just like, you'd have to like take the two-dimensional creature and go get the key and break it. It was great. Tank Battle. That was a classic Atari.
Yep. Actually, it was funny because, I bought in, I forgot where, I think it was like Walmart or something, that they had like the Atari where it's like just the joysticks, but like the games are already in there with the chip somehow. And you can like just plug it into like the TV or whatever. And in this day and age, Jojo loved Tank Battle. Yeah, he was just like, I think it was just the simplicity and just, me and him, you could talk, you could whatever, and interact with each other as well as the game, where it's like, the newer games are like just such sensory overload that you have to be like, you're in the game. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no time to like just pause and like, make a couple offhand comments to each other. It's just like, continuous action.
Yeah, absolutely. Different times, man. I'll tell you. And also just,
and what I miss the most, is, Well, you know me. I always had a soft spot for the dime stores. I always loved Woolworths.
Yeah.
There's just something about that place where, I mean, it's like, the stuff in there was crap. And it was just, it's just funny though, because you look back now and you think of like, McCrory's and Woolworths and, those stores. Used to go in there and it was like probably 3/4 of the crap in there was made in the United States.
Good point, right?
And then it's like, now it's like, you go to Walmart and it's like, you're lucky if 10% of the crap in there is made.
0%, I would say, is what you can find at Walmart with the Made America in America. I find that in Walmart, even at this point, like they're shifting you away from any other brands into their little home brand. What is it called? Great Value or whatever. It's like, wow, man. So you're manufacturing it, selling it, you're distributing it.
Great Value donut shop coffee. Love the stuff.
Is that right?
I know that's sacrilege to a coffee man like you. Yeah. It's a face.
That's a little hard for me to swallow, so to speak. But yeah.
Yeah, I should get like some kind of like little thing like for the rim shot. Just, hit the button.
I'll have to buy you that. But yeah, absolutely. Coffee was not a thing back in the 80s, right? I remember going to I was, probably too little to drink coffee, but there was times I tried to act adult and drink some coffee. It was like sewer water, it was just like, there was no quality. It was diner coffee. You'd go to a coffee at diner.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if it's just because we were kids and we weren't paying attention, or I don't remember my mother drinking coffee the way I drink coffee.
Ah, that's a good point. I wonder.
It's like my father. It's like he'd like get up, he'd make himself a cup of Taster's Choice before he went to the office. But then it's like, I don't know if he drank coffee in the office or not. Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. It was funny.
And then it's like,
go ahead.
It's like the one who was the coffee animal, my grandmother, my mother's mother. Jesus Christ. It was like, well, again, that was that whole side of the family was just like,
she was an Italian,
riddled with addictions. And, it's like, that was my grandmother. It's like the chain smoking, coffee swilling old bag,
I'll tell you, I discovered some old 8mm films in my attic of my parents doing their thing in the 50s. And like when they would go to a party down the street, they would dress to the nines, like a full suit, a hat, and they'd go there and they'd have these, what they called, my mother would always call highballs, right? They'd go there and they'd get whacked out on hot liquor. And that was the party, right? I guess you put some music on and,
Yeah.
It was, well,
yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah, it's funny because I compare. Yeah, I was surprised how old your parents were. I mean, nothing personal. Little me of friends, and it's like I always just sort of put everybody on the same plane. It's like, my father was born in 36, my mother was born in 40.
Yeah. Well,
it's like your parents are probably already sick of each other by 1940.
I was definitely like all my kids, my siblings are all 10 years older than me. I was definitely like, holy crap, I didn't know we could still have a kid.
Yeah. You were the youngest child.
Because
so how does it feel to be a mistake, Jen?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you, it's back in the day, like the 2.8 nuclear family Catholic family didn't believe in contraception, right? Because of course the religion wants you to have more people to be of their faith,
Be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess I kind of benefited from
yeah.
Come to
but then lost the thread. We were talking about
anyway.
Yeah, like the parents,
in the 80s,
my parents. Well, that was the thing because it's like I look at the different. Yeah, it's like even at like family things, I'd look at the difference between my father's parents and my mother's parents.
Yeah,
and it was a completely different generation even there because it's like my father's parents.
When were they?
Born around 1903 to 04, right around there. My mother's parents, my mother's father was born in 1915. My mother's mother was born in 1918.
Interesting.
And it was just like, my grandfather died when I was in just as we were going into 7th grade. So I was like, what, 12, 11?
Look at your face. He's like, I'm out of here.
79. So yeah, I was 12. So it's like, I really couldn't, I didn't know, I didn't build up that relationship with my grandfather. And then my mother's parents got divorced. So it's like the other grandfather I didn't see, like, I think I was 6 was the last time I saw him. But yeah, I'd look at my 2 grandmothers. It's like, my sister's wedding, my brother's wedding, or family things. And my father's mother was just like, so, for lack of a better term, like Victorian.
Interesting.
Just, she didn't smoke. She didn't drink. She didn't, not even like the, being Italian, not even like the little thing of wine or whatever. It was just like, and it was like my mother's mother, clearly a child of the 20s.
Huh. Interesting. She came in
where it's like, like you were saying, that's what, you were saying. It's like, you go to like, like like a family barbecue, and there's my grandmother. It's like, my mother's mother, the cigarette, the highball. And it's like, and then, my father's mother just sitting at the picnic table, just,
hiding her time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it was a different time. Those guys partied pretty hard with the hooch,
Well, even us, you look at us in college and it's like, we used to be able to smoke in the dorm rooms. They had cigarette machines in the lobby of the dorms.
The doctor, he'd be smoking. The guy would be smoking in the airplane, in the movie theater. You go to your doctor.
I remember. Yeah, I caught the very last vestige of what, like people smoking in the office. And then I remember it's like when they finally banned it, it's like the guy was there to clean out the ducts and it was just like,
well, it was done in like little increments, right? Like first they said no smoking in movie theaters, then restaurant. So like in the office, basically what that meant was then for a while you'd see these like smoking clutches outside of the door, the front door.
Yeah.
And then finally they kind of just went away. I don't know because people they died from lung cancer, or people didn't smoke anymore, or what it is. But,
going back to college after I graduated, and this was only like maybe 2-3 years after I got out, and me and my old roommate, or if you want to be grammatically correct, my roommate and I, went back to, and it was during the summer session. Just, whatever, go in. And we went back to the bar that was on campus, and it was just like, nobody was smoking. And it was just like, there were actually just people sitting a couple of years after I graduated from college. Me and my old roommate and I, gotta be
right.
After all, I do have the degree. So we went back to visit our college, and it was, granted, it was like during the summer session, like a light crowd or whatever, but it was like a Friday night, go to the bar on campus, and, the jukebox wasn't playing. Nobody was smoking. There were people sitting at the bar reading.
Did you have like a college bar that you used to go to when you were going to that university?
Well,
Was that the very one?
No, this was the bar that was on campus.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, forget it. Those things.
So it was,
those are leftovers from the 70s, dude. What are you kidding?
Yeah, well, the thing was,
young people had rights.
One of my friends was a bartender at the bar on campus. So I was always at the bar on campus because I wasn't full.
Now, did you drink? I know you abstain these days, but did you drink?
Oh yeah, I used to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my idea back then was a mixed drink was vodka mixed with ice cubes.
Yeah,
I'd sit there with like, basically, again, it's like, the classic the classic red plastic cup, it's like, my friend, just take a handful of ice, throw it in there, fill it up with vodka, and I just sit there for the rest of the night. I'd be chain smoking like Chesterfields. At the time I was doing about 3.5 packs a day, which again, back then it was a cheap vice.
Yeah, right. Now, what are you kidding? It's like,
It's like it was a buck and a quarter a pack. Yeah, it was $1.25 a pack in the machine in the lobby.
Yeah, machines, they were all over. There's something from the 80s, right? I mean, you don't see these cigarette machines all over the place. The sticker on it that says you must be 18.
Cigarette machine in the door, in the lobby of the dorm.
In the lobby of the hospital.
Right, in the lobby of the dorm. In case the university bookstore was closed.
Yeah, right.
You could get, because they used to sell cigarettes in the bookstore.
In case you get up, you study and you need some Camels.
Exactly.
It's hard to imagine, but that's how it was.
Yeah, and then once I found out that, like, it was $10 a carton.
Yeah.
That it's 7-Eleven, or and that was for the name brand stuff. I mean, if you went with like one of the B grade like things, like Raleigh's or like Viceroy's or some of those off brands, you could score a carton on sale for like $8.50.
I noticed
now. I don't even know what it is. I can't even afford to smoke anymore. It's like
you got to save up for
a cigarette. It's like.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I remember, and then I guess it was the 90s, really.
I think in New York, it's like $13 a pack now.
I remember in the 1990s, American Spirit. You remember those? They kind of came to be. It was like the big claim to fame was like you're smoking tobacco, but there's like half the chemicals, because you can imagine what these nibblets.
It was all it was all naturally grown tobacco. Yeah.
Right. Can you imagine the arsenic or whatever they got to put in there to increase the addictive factor to the maximum in like the mainstream?
Yeah, there was a great movie. I forgot what the name of it was. It was based on the guy that was, because I remember the tobacco trials being on TV, and it was funny. There was this one senator, guy from California. His name was Waxman. What an annoying little twerp.
Really?
And he was like grilling, this one guy. And it's funny because, this guy's looking, the guy, like, the witness, he's like looking at him like, how effing stupid are you? Because it's like, the guy's like, so let me get this straight. You would find a suitable, you'd find a suitable niche. You will create and tailor a product that these people will find appealing. You will advertise it in venues that they are exposed to. And it's like, and they start buying your products and they continue buying your products. And he's like, what do you call that? And the guy's like, a very successful ad campaign.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, and this guy's like, well, I call it it was like, conspiracy.
Remember Joe Camel?
And now all of a sudden it's like racketeering. It's like, it's just.
Do you remember Joe Camel? It was like it was a cartoon character, basically.
Came and went. Yep. He was like one of the first to go. Yeah.
Or as the Simpsons call him, the Laramie Cat.
Yeah, I love those things on the Laramies and again,
he's like smoking. He's almost dying. You know what I mean?
And what was it? Marge with the SUV, the Canyonero.
Oh not approved for highway, on-road or off-road driving.
Well, it's kind of like when BMW first came out with their little SUV thing. It's like they didn't recommend it for off-road use. Yeah. It's like,
oh my God, that's hilarious, man. Too funny.
Yeah, but it was just funny because the way this guy, that's when it really started sinking in. It's like, again, like when we were there, it's the harmless vice. It was like I should say everybody. With our parents' generation, everybody pretty much smoked.
I remember I guess it was in the late 80s, and I'm walking down St. Mark's in New York City, and I guess it was a pole or something, I saw this poster. It said, "Smoking is glamorous," and it showed this old hag, weathered, and you could almost smell the stuff coming off.
Nicotine.
And it was just such a contrast. I was like, man, it's where it leads. You know what I mean? Eventually, if you keep plugging yourself with that smoke, man, you're going to get that.
Well, what really, you see me smoking, okay, but it's like, with me, Yeah, I really, it's just a point where I don't
nightmare.
I don't even know why I do. I don't inhale.
No,
it's just I guess it's just a mental thing where it's just bringing me back to the happier place, because I'm going through a lot of stress now.
Yeah,
so that's for my personal life.
It's a correction.
So it's like, that's why I kind of start. I mean, before that thing started a couple months ago, I was like, I did not. I was like,
your personal issue.
Yeah, but it's like, I have started smoking again. When my father was dying, because I was, that was, and then it was like, and then it's like after that, and then I quit again. That was the thing too. I mean, I used to smoke like 3.5 packs a day, but I was never hooked.
Wow. Yeah. Well, come on.
It was just all social because because where I went to school, where I went to college.
On Guyland?
I would go home on weekends. So it's like, I would like, I could, my parents were like, if you want to, if you want to smoke, fine, just not in the house. So I just like, just never smoked at home. When I would go home, it's like, I could go all weekend. I wouldn't feel it. I wouldn't have like the cravings or the Nick Fits or whatever.
No, it was.
I'd get in the car. Maybe I'd have a cigarette driving back to school. I'd like, and then it's like you get back to the dorm, you're hanging out with the guys.
Yeah.
One after the other, after the other, after the other, and social, even every day, it's like I'd wake up, I'd have a cigarette in the morning when I'm getting dressed and shaving or whatever. Yeah, I'd have another cigarette walking to class. And then it's like, I have another cigarette walking to the next class. And then you get together with the guys at lunch. Half a pack.
Yeah. Just sitting there one after the other.
Yeah. And it was just like, it was just a thing to do, and that's kind of like, again, it's like, with all, I mean, I don't consider myself a smoker. I mean, you'll see me, but it's like, again, I'm not inhaling. it's just something to play with. And I guess it just brings me back to like, that.
Well, that's what they say. The psychology. I remember a psychology professor saying that it's basically a nervous habit. It's not so much even the smoking as the tap in the pack and opening the wrapper. And, it's just like a routine that is psychologically pleasing and reassuring,
Yeah. But, this was all leading somewhere. Because it's like after my father died, it was, I bought a carton when the crap was hitting the fan with my father.
Yeah.
And even then it was like, I went over to the Native American reservation nearby.
You're all natural.
And, I got like, they would just have bags of, cigarettes that they made at the reservation. So, so that was like, $20 for a carton because,
yeah,
as opposed to like, the good Pall Malls that I love being like, $85 a carton. That's a good price. It's
right. Exactly. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, Pall Malls were not I used to do Chesterfields and Pall Malls.
Yeah.
And
weird
even though they were non-filtered, they were very, very smooth. People that would like borrow one, they'd be like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, just try it. And it's like, they try it. And, they were actually smoother than some filtered cigarettes.
You remember menthol cigarettes? They would basically like rip chunks of your lung out with each. I only tried smoking for like 2 weeks when I was going through my denim jacket phase. And I was like, I can't do this. Sorry. I understand it's part of the subculture, but I just can't take this nasty crap into my body.
One of the guys in our dorm was from Kenya. And I don't know where the hell he got. He had he came back from break or whatever. And I guess, customs lets you bring out for personal use or whatever, So he actually had a carton of, forgot if they were Salem's, but,
nasty.
Either Salem's or Cools. Unfiltered menthols.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my God.
I never saw them before. And it's like, I'm like, hey, it's like, I'm doing, it's like I'm chaining down Chesterfield. So it's like,
That's like if you want to see blood.
It's like, it's like, you get it. You're like, it's like, I do. It was just like,
thanks, man. What are you kidding?
it's like, remember those sticks? They're like, the vapor sticks, like when you had clogged up. It's
yeah, like
when you're a kid, it's like, just take that stick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
It was just
Right. It was like smoking a thing of Vicks medicated.
It's like Shrek Ben Gay or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was
just it's real. Do it for the flavor, right? I mean, oh my God. I don't know, man. It's crazy.
Oh, that was, Nat King Cole used to smoke the menthols and,
yeah.
And
my dad used to smoke
Nat
a pipe.
King Cole.
My dad used to smoke a pipe. It had a very like distinctive flavor. I remember, or a smell, I shouldn't say. I never tasted it, but the smell was.
I've always been tempted to try a pipe. It's like, I bought like a cheap old pipe and I bought a thing of tobacco and
I think it was a 1940s thing.
Keep those things going. It's a ritual.
Yeah, it is. It's a whole, you got like behind me or somewhere in my office, I have his old, like where he used to keep his tobacco, it was just kind of sentimental.
Yeah, the humidor thing, yeah.
But, it was definitely like even in TSS, they had like a Times Square stores, which was a store on Long Island in the Northeast here, where they would sell like tobacco for your pipes. I mean, where do you even go now to get that stuff? I guess,
dude,
maybe online.
You want to talk the 80s? Remember CVS used to have, I used to call it the guy aisle. CVS had it was in the guy's aisle.
Wow.
You'd have the shaving cream, the Brill cream, the Vitalis, the razor blades, the combs.
Next,
the boxes of cheapo cigars, the pipes, the pipe cleaners,
Yes. Yeah, that was the pipe cleaners. That was a thing, right? All the
and then you'd have like all the cans. There was like, trying to think of like what some of the names were. Can? Yeah.
Excuse me. Do you have
you had like Edgeworth. There was another one. Oh God, there was one that was very popular. Einstein used to smoke it. So it must work. I mean,
I'm sure it wasn't menthol then, because those things will pop your brain cells.
Oh yeah, I mean they make menthol pipe tobacco too. It's like I guess no filter. Just
yeah, yeah. You don't see smoking anymore. That's for sure. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's because everybody's dying. It's like
I guess when the business model is to basically kill your clients slowly.
Yeah, wow.
That catches up.
Yeah, I guess. I guess they kind of figured that you go back into the 30s and the 40s, there was lines of people just waiting for the, and the post-war baby boom. There was a whole crop of...
Oh, yeah. You could pick up a carton of cigarettes at the gas station, at the food store. Remember green stamps? Not just to, kind of throw something that, like...
S&H green stamps. I threw out a boatload of them when I was cleaning out my parents' house after my father died. I found like...
Are you kidding? You're rich in green stamps?
Yeah.
So explain to the viewers, Rufus, what green stamps were.
They used to have a thing called trading stamps. There were different companies. There used to be McDonald Plant Stamps was another one. That was on Long Island too. There was S&H Green Stamps. They were the most famous.
Yeah, those were the popular ones.
And these, so the S&H company would contract with merchants, gas stations, and the stationery store, supermarkets were big on them. And it was a way for the stores to build customer loyalty. It was kind of like the Visa rewards.
Yeah, it was almost like a prototype for a reward program.
Right. And
come on.
So what they would do is, they'd figure out like, you pull into the Texaco and your, nice shiny, Chrysler Cordoba, fill her up. The guy would fill it up and it's like,
and you get
20 gallons, that's $5. You give them the 5 and it's like, then based on the percentage, it's like, we tear off. Here you go. Here's your stamps. Like,
and before you knew it, you were collecting them and you
supposed to give out great stuff. Remember, they used to give out like the little ice cream balls and those steak knives. And
well, where would you go for that stuff? They would have like retail locations where you could trade in your stamp.
And you take all these stamps and, you'd paste them in a book. And then it's like, they had catalogs where it's like, you know, like this desk lamp. It's like, you know, you need 500
stamps or something. Yeah.
Right. So, and then, some of them in the bigger towns, they would actually have showrooms. Like, remember the Brady Bunch when they were trying to figure out how to, they'd go to the...
That's right. Yeah. There's a 80s, 70s, 80s thing.
60s.
Brady Bunch was the 60s, but it was in living color.
Maybe it was maybe late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, it was
I don't
the
know.
70s.
I vaguely remember when I was a kid, even like, some newscasts were still black and white. Yeah. Color was a big freaking deal.
Can you imagine buying the Brady house? Like, you would not be able to change a thing. And you better not break mom's vase.
That's right. So it's like, oh, Marcia sat on this step.
It was cute, definitely.
Oh, yeah, well, it was...
Crush on Marcia, yeah.
Yeah, well, every red-blooded American boy our age and a little bit older had a crush on Marcia. It was a rite of passage.
Now you see on the internet, they do these frightening things like, remember this cute girl you crushed on when you were 6 years old? And not that I should talk. Yeah. I mean, I'm,
It's like, oh, Phoebe Cates was one of the hotties, they show, the hotties of the 80s. Look at them now. What happened? It's like, they got 45 years older is what happened. Yeah, look at me. What the fuck happened to me?
Exactly. Right. Like but they get you that you're shocked. Like somehow you didn't think entropy was going to affect them like the rest of us or something.
Yeah. Well, because, Marcia Brady was just this ethereal thing.
Timeless bubble in your head. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because Betty Davis said something about that when she was on Johnny Carson once. And, she was, Johnny was like, you have any movies or anything? And she's like, no. And then it's like, which is funny. She said, it's like, I'm just here. Of course, it's like, you have to pop up every now and then because then people, they're growing old with you.
Right.
And it's not like, it's like, if I disappeared, and then you come back 10 years from now, people will see me and they'll be like, whoa, like what the hell happened to her?
Oh, here's an obscure one for you. Mary Pickford, like she disappeared because she was a silent film actress. And when the talkies started coming in, like, she just kind of phased out for a couple.
Well, Mary, and then also, Mary was married to Doug Fairbanks.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, well, Mary was married to Doug Fairbanks.
Well, that'll do it to you.
Mary was also one of the original...
Are you on a first name basis with Mary Pickford?
Yes. There's Mary, there's Doug, there's Chuck. So Mary and I were in...
We were little rascals when...
It's like... So Mary and Doug and I...
Yes.
We were at what the hell's the name of that place?
Darling, you don't need to change for the phone.
What that was, I can't remember that. What was that nightclub in the city? So Mary and Doug and I were in the Stark Club.
El Morocco or
El Morocco. That was what I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, I think out of all of them, I think the 21 Club is still there.
We're like, the 21 Club. I don't know if that's still hanging on, but that was there with the little jockeys outside and stuff.
I said, Mary Pickford fell off the face of the earth because, Mary was married to Doug. And and she was also one of the founding fathers of United Artists. So it's like, she didn't need the money.
Interesting stuff. I don't, I think, we talk about dating ourselves. We're supposed to be talking about the 80s. We're going back to the silent era. So old fossils here.
I know it's another, what's funny is you look at the salaries that some of those silent film actors were making.
You got all the popcorn you could eat.
Well, no. And you would
slap on the back. And that was good enough.
You do the inflation adjustments. And it's like, holy shit. I go,
yeah, well.
It's like, I forgot who it was. It's like the Mary Pickford. She was like, back in 1920, she was like making $1 million a
you
year.
mean it was a lot? Yeah, for the day. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's like, people today think it's like, oh, Seinfeld, $1 million an episode or whatever. You know, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what the exchange rate was. It's like,
that was multiple millions by today.
I know in 1940, like, $1 in 1940 was about $20 today.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting peg. All right. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for coming on here, Rufus. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you for talking about everything but the subject topic,
but still had a great time.
What do I miss about the 80s?
Yeah.
Parting thought.
Yes.
I miss Woolworths. I miss a hot Phoebe Cates.
Yeah, she was quite the good memory.
I was getting gas the other day, and I actually said, you talk about like just the dried out old hags. Like what the? There was an actual like former like 80s hair bitch pulled up. She had the Camaro with the T-tops.
Oh boy.
Yeah. She gets out, she's got the thing of the turkey neck and everything. Yeah. But she's still got the Marge Simpson
fountain of hair
that pulls up with like Devo playing or something.
How do you do that? Like I remember I'd go out in the 80s, you had to put like hairspray on. How do you like put glue on your head for 50 years? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't get it. No.
That's another thing I miss about the 80s.
Not me. I don't actually leave that one behind.
I miss having hair.
Oh, I miss having hair. Yeah. Yes. Hair and not looking like a leftover slice of bologna that's been sitting in the fridge too long or whatever.
Yeah, I know. It's more like
that's for another episode. So
yeah, that's what I'm just like a degenerate Mr. Rogers over here.
Well, that's about
what you neighbor.
That's about it for AWOL Bugs Out. I'm wondering maybe I should start a separate channel and call this AWOL and Friends and just do chat bits. Why don't we try that?
I still like the. I know you got the AWOL identity, but or it's like maybe it's just like you should like AWOL's Geezer Playhouse. Because I'm used to call our private group the Geezers Playhouse.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Let me think about that. So, anyway, yeah.
That's what we are. Hang on a minute. Get off my lawn, you little shit.
That is our target demographic is like 55 to 75. So it would make sense.
When did we magically turn into you check your age? It's like, it's like we're like the next to last box now, dude.
Yeah, forget it. When I start to have to scroll to my age, you might as well take 5, So anyway, thanks for coming on tonight. And I hope everybody at home had a great time and we'll see you next time.